So I'm pretty sure we've all had those days where we feel a little blue. We may be lonely, our hearts are sad, we're nervous, we're anxious, maybe we're just a bit depressed. But we've all had those days. Well, one place that you're pretty certain you're going to have a lot of those feelings is when you're at the funeral home. So a lot of funeral homes are trying to find ways to help people during those emotions when they're at the funeral home, to give them comfort, to give them support. One way is through animals. So we're going to go inside funeral home here and we're going to meet my new friend Seager. This is my new friend Seager, and he has been a therapy dog for about 8 years here at this funeral home. He's about 10 years old, and he started down the path of Pause with a Cause, and there's several steps in Pause with a Cause, and one of them is from 8 weeks to a year old. They're with a trainer, and they have to complete a series of like 100 different things that they do, and a couple steps along the way he failed. A little is because he's not as full of energy as some dogs. Come here. And so he then goes on to leader school to be a leader dog, and the laziness played a factor. So then he was free to be adopted from there, and he was adopted by the funeral home owner here, and he then became a therapy dog. So there's several steps to being a therapy dog. One of them, you have to pass kind of a training, and you have to walk alongside someone that is in a wheelchair. You have to be around someone with crutches. You essentially do a agility course to see if you can be around all the different types of people and medical equipment that someone may have within a funeral home. The second thing is that a dog has to be calm. They have to maintain a certain personality. So his laid-back personality was perfect to be a therapy dog. So Seager received his certification as a therapy dog and has been at this funeral home for 8 years now, greeting people and providing comfort and warmth to them when they need it. I talked to the funeral home owners and said, do you ever see that he's in tune to certain people or that he shies away from certain people? And they said that if somebody walks into the funeral home and kind of diverts around him, doesn't pay him attention, he will not ever go up to that person. He senses that they don't want his presence, and so he remains away from them. However, they have found that they'll be looking for him and he'll be curled up with the widow who's sitting in the front row for the service. Or one day they found him in with somebody who's having a private viewing before somebody was cremated, and he had gone in and just snuggled up with them. So there's moments where he knows exactly where he needs to be, but he also knows when his presence isn't as welcome by someone. Maybe someone has fears of dogs or allergies and just shies away from them. In the 8 years he's been here, there have only been 3 or 4 circumstances where someone said, yeah, we don't want Seager around during the service, and it was maybe because of a fear or an anxiety. So there's 4 different types of classifications when it comes to working animals. The first is a comfort or a companion animal, and this would classify your household animal or dog or cat or a bunny for that matter. And this is a dog that has, or an animal that has no formal training. He just wants to go play, and it has no formal training. And the second is an emotional support animal. You've started seeing these maybe on airplanes or in grocery stores. People with high anxiety are starting to have these emotional support animals. Now the third is a therapy animal, and so that would be what Seager is. They're trained to provide emotional support and physical support by comforting during their job. They work in hospitals, nursing homes. You may hear about them on the news after school shootings. Therapy animals are brought in to spend times with the students in the schools or with the staff. So they're used in a lot of different situations to provide support and nurturing. Now the fourth level is a service animal. And the Today Show has been a great viewing of service animals in training, because they've had service animals the last few years that have been on their set and that you've watched grow and watched be trained for different programs. Puppies with a Purpose, and they've done where they've raised the animals to go be with veterans as their service dogs. And so that has been a great way to introduce us to service animals in one capacity. So how do therapy dogs provide comfort? They help improve physical and mental health of a person. When you're petting an animal, petting a therapy dog, they increase actually the dopamine and the serotonin levels that are in our brains. And this improves our mood. It lowers our anxieties, it lowers our stress, it lowers our depression. It just increases these happier, positive vibes within our bodies. It also helps with blood pressure. So you may see someone that has heart conditions that improves health-wise if they have a therapy dog around them on a consistent basis. It also helps when someone's feeling lonely. As we talked about before in the beginning, you have this loneliness and you want a companion, and maybe it's not a human companion that you have to accommodate or you have to talk to or you have to host, but it's just having a presence of somebody with you, and that's where a therapy dog comes into play. And Seager has been so well received by people that come in that people will stop when there's no visitation or service or anything going on just so they can see him, just so they can give him a hug or play ball with him, throw his tennis ball, throw his big soccer ball that he loves, so that they can just be around him, because they had such a positive experience when they were here for a funeral that they want that again, and so they want to seek out that time with him.